The silent signal. The stars burned quietly in the endless black, each one shining like a distant candle in the cold. Across this silent sea, an alien fleet drifted in formation. Their ships were sharp, silver, and full of pride, belonging to a species that believed they ruled this sector of space. For centuries, no enemy had dared to challenge them. Yet on this day, their confidence began to shake. It started with a signal. It was not a sound, not a voice, not even a message they could understand. It was only silence, a silence that carried weight. Their sensors caught it as a distortion in the void, like something too large to hide yet too patient to reveal itself. At first, the alien commander thought it was a mistake in the system. But as the fleet drifted closer, the truth became clear. Something was out there. The signal did not fade. It grew heavier, as if space itself was bending around an unseen shape. The fleet slowed. The crew whispered. Their scanners tried to map the anomaly, but the more they looked, the more fear spread across the command bridge. The readings were impossible. The size was beyond anything they had seen before. Then, out of the shadows, it appeared. At first, it was only a shape in the distance, too vast to measure. The alien crew pressed their faces close to their screens. A ship was drifting slowly through the darkness, its hull black and jagged, covered in strange markings they did not recognize. The ship dwarfed their largest cruisers. It was a mountain of steel moving through the void like a predator, silent and patient. The aliens did not speak. The air on the bridge grew heavy. They all knew what they were looking at. A warship, but not one of theirs. The commander felt his blood freeze as he realized this ship did not belong to any known empire, alliance, or faction in the galaxy. It was something new, something no one had ever seen before, and the silence it carried was not weakness, it was strength. One officer whispered the words that no one wanted to hear. "It is human," the word echoed through the bridge. Humanity, the forgotten species, the weak ones. The race that most empires dismissed as primitive and fragile. They were supposed to be nothing more than a young people on the edge of the stars, still crawling forward while older species shaped the galaxy. But what they were seeing now did not match those old stories. This was not the fleet of a fragile species. This was a Titan. The commander ordered scans. Data poured into the screens, but the numbers made no sense. The hull was layered with strange alloys that absorbed every attempt to probe it. The weapon systems glowed faintly, but their power signatures were unreadable, as if the ship's technology was beyond the very science the aliens used to measure. And its engines, massive, burning quietly with restrained fury, seemed capable of tearing a planet's orbit apart. The commander sat in silence, gripping the edges of his chair. He had seen countless fleets in his life. He had fought wars across star systems, had commanded victories and endured defeats. But never, not once, had he seen a single ship that radiated such power. The Titan did not move fast. It did not threaten. It only drifted as though it had all the time in the universe. Yet that stillness was more frightening than any weapon. The aliens realized they were standing before something that did not fear them. Something that did not even consider them a challenge. Minutes passed. No signal came from the human warship. The alien fleet waited, their hearts pounding, their eyes locked on the giant. The silence stretched, growing longer, sharper, until it felt like a blade pressing against their throats. Finally, the commander spoke. "Send a greeting signal. Ask who they are." The message went out, a wave of light and sound across the void. The fleet waited. The Titan did not respond. It drifted, cold and silent, its vast hull gleaming faintly under the light of distant stars. The commander swallowed hard. He felt as if the warship was not ignoring them, but watching them, judging them, deciding whether they were worth a single word. His crew grew restless. Officers argued in low voices. Some whispered that they should retreat, that no good would come from disturbing such a giant. Others demanded to attack, to prove that their fleet could not be mocked by silence. The commander raised his hand, silencing them all, and then without warning, the Titan stirred. The alien fleet tensed as its massive hull shifted, turning slowly toward them. Light flared across its body, not bright and loud, but cold and sharp, like the opening of an ancient eye. For the first time, the aliens felt the true weight of what they were facing. The ship's presence filled the stars around it. Every alien heart beat faster. Their ship seemed small, fragile, like insects before a storm. Still, the Titan did not fire. It did not rush forward. It simply faced them, its silence heavier than any weapon. The commander felt sweat on his brow. He understood now. This was not silence born of weakness. This was silence born of confidence. A predator does not roar when it knows the prey cannot escape. The bridge was quiet, no one daring to speak. Outside, the Titan-Class Warship loomed larger, a black mountain drifting through the void, carrying with it the weight of a civilization the aliens had underestimated for far too long. The commander leaned back slowly in his chair, his voice low, his face pale. The galaxy will not believe this. The silence remained, but the galaxy was about to learn the truth. The first encounter. The alien fleet hung in the darkness like anxious shadows. Their ships spread wide across the void. None dared to move closer, yet none dared to flee. Every eye was locked on the Titan-Class Warship. It drifted slowly, its black hull silent, as if time itself bent around it. The silence pressed heavier with each second, squeezing their nerves until every breath felt too loud. For a long moment, the alien commander wondered if the ship was lifeless, perhaps abandoned. A ghost drifting across the stars. But deep in his heart, he knew it was not true. No empty vessel carried such weight. No silent wreck could bend fear into the minds of trained soldiers. This ship was alive, and it was watching. He ordered another signal. A second greeting, clearer, stronger, carrying words of peace. The message spilled across the void, flashing toward the Titan like a plea. The alien crew leaned forward, waiting for an answer. Their screens glowed, their hearts raced, but nothing came. The Titan did not answer. It only drifted closer now, its lights faint but sharp. The bridge grew colder. A young officer broke the silence, his voice trembling. They are mocking us. They hear us but choose to stay quiet. The commander silenced him with a glare. Yet the thought had already sunk into the room. If the humans had built this ship, perhaps they no longer needed words. Perhaps they no longer cared to speak with weaker civilizations. Then it happened. Without warning, the bridge was filled with sound. A deep, calm voice slid across every channel, clear and steady as if it had been waiting for the right moment. This is humanity's Titan. State your purpose. The words echoed through the alien ships. Officers froze, their eyes wide, their mouths dry. The voice was not loud, not angry, not aggressive. It was steady, quiet, and controlled. But that calmness cut deeper than any roar. The commander straightened in his chair. His mind spun. Humanity, the forgotten race. The primitive ones. The species dismissed for ages. And yet here, their warship spoke with authority, like a ruler addressing subjects. He swallowed, then spoke into the comms, his voice carefully steady. We come in peace. We detected your signal. We wish only to know who you are. There was a pause. The kind of pause that felt like judgment. The alien crew held their breath. Then the voice returned, colder now. You know who we are. You chose not to see us. You chose not to remember. The commander felt his stomach twist. The words carried weight, heavy with history. Had humanity been watching them all along? Had they hidden in the dark, building in silence, waiting for the day to reveal themselves? One officer whispered, his voice shaking. They were never weak. The Titan shifted slightly, its massive hull turning with impossible grace. Lights rippled across its surface, marking its shape more clearly now. The aliens could see weapon ports lining its sides, each one larger than their own ships, and yet the weapons remained cold, as if to say, we do not need them to remind you of what we are. Fear rippled through the fleet. Some whispered for retreat. Others demanded to strike before the Titan made its move. The commander raised his hand, silencing them all. He kept his eyes on the giant before him, forcing his voice steady. What do you want from us? The human voice answered without delay. Nothing. Your kind has nothing we need. The words were sharper than blades. They were not insult, not anger. They were truth. Humanity had spoken, and in that truth lay a cold reality. The aliens, with all their fleets and empires, were insignificant in the eyes of this warship. The crew shivered. Pride cracked. For the first time in generations, they felt small. The Titan did not move closer. It did not attack. It simply remained, a silent mountain in the void, watching them as one might watch insects crawling across the ground. The aliens realized with horror that the warship had already judged them and found them unworthy of fear. The silence grew unbearable. Finally, a second voice broke through the comms, softer, distant, like another human speaking from the depths of the ship. Captain, shall I end this? The alien commander's chest tightened. The words were casual, almost bored. They spoke of ending fleets as if it were no more than brushing dust from a table. The first voice answered calmly. No, they have seen enough. The alien crew trembled. The commander clenched his fists, forcing down the panic that clawed at him. He understood now what was happening. This was not a meeting. This was a demonstration. Humanity had shown them the Titan had spoken only a few words, and that was enough. The message was clear. We are here. We are stronger. Remember us. The commander lowered his eyes, shame burning in his chest. The galaxy would laugh at him if he fled. Yet to fight this ship was madness. He knew the truth. The entire fleet could vanish, and the Titan would still drift forward, silent and undefeated. The alien fleet waited, frozen, uncertain whether to move or stay. The Titan remained motionless, its lights pulsing faintly, its presence louder than any weapon. In that moment, the commander understood why silence had weight. Silence was not emptiness. Silence was power, and the Titan carried silence like a crown. The voice returned once more, final and steady. Go back to your people. Tell them humanity has awakened. Then the comms went dead. The silence returned. The alien fleet lingered, unwilling to turn, unwilling to look away. But deep inside, every soul on board knew the truth. The galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had spoken, and the stars themselves had grown quiet. The show of power. The alien fleet lingered in silence, their ships trembling in formation. The human Titan-Class Warship did not move fast, yet its presence filled every screen, every sensor, every thought. The aliens could not look away. They were soldiers trained to face death, but this was different. This was not war. This was standing before something beyond their understanding. Still, fear does strange things to the mind. One of the younger captains could not bear it any longer. He rose from his seat, rage and pride mixing with panic. His voice cut across the fleet channel. They mock us. One ship against a fleet of 30. We cannot sit here like cowards. We must remind them of who rules these stars. The commander of the fleet clenched his jaw but did not answer quickly enough. The young captain's ship broke formation. Engines burned bright, weapons charged, and a warning shot was fired across the void. The beam of energy streaked past the Titan's hull, close enough to scrape the shadows that clung to its body. The alien crew cheered for a moment. It was a message. We are not afraid. But the silence that followed was worse than any reply. The Titan did not flinch. It did not move. It simply absorbed the insult as though the attack was too small to notice. Then slowly its lights shifted. Panels along its massive sides opened, revealing weapon ports glowing with restrained energy. The alien fleet froze. Every ship raised shields expecting annihilation. Hearts pounded. Mouths went dry. Some whispered last prayers. But the Titan did not fire a killing blow. Instead, with a hum that shook space itself, a single pulse of blue light burst from its side. It was not aimed at the fleet. It was aimed at one ship, the reckless young captain's vessel. The pulse struck like lightning. It did not explode. It did not tear the ship apart. Instead, every system inside the alien vessel went dark at once. Lights flickered out. Weapons powered down. Engines shut off. The ship drifted in silence, powerless, as if its very soul had been ripped away. Gasps filled the alien command bridge. Their screens showed the disabled ship floating helplessly, dead in the water. No fire, no smoke, no death, only silence. A precision strike so controlled that not a single life was lost, yet every machine inside was useless. The fleet commander's hands trembled. He knew what this meant. The Titan could destroy them all with ease, but it had chosen not to. Instead, it had shown them something worse than death. Mercy backed by unstoppable strength. The human voice returned, calm and steady. Do not test us again. The words echoed in every alien ear. They were not a threat. They were a promise. The fleet was silent. Even the reckless captain said nothing as his powerless ship floated in the void. The lesson was carved into their hearts. They had been spared, but only because humanity allowed it. The commander closed his eyes for a moment. In that silence, memories returned. For centuries, his people had dismissed humanity as insignificant, too weak to matter in the vast games of empires. They had called them children of a small blue planet, struggling for survival. Yet in the darkness of the void, the truth stood before them. Humanity had not been crawling. They had been building, waiting, preparing. Another officer whispered in fear. One ship, and it can do this. What if they have more? The thought spread like fire across the bridge. If one Titan-Class warship could humble an entire fleet, what would happen if a dozen appeared? What if humanity had hundreds? The galaxy itself could collapse under such power. The commander's chest tightened. He forced himself to speak. We cannot win against this. Not today. But even as he said the words, he realized it was not only about today. It was about tomorrow and every day after. Humanity had revealed itself, and the galaxy would never see them the same way again. The Titan remained still. Its weapons glowed faintly, then dimmed as the panels closed once more. The giant returned to silence, drifting slowly as if nothing had happened. But the silence was heavier now. It carried the weight of fear, respect, and submission. The alien fleet did not dare fire again. They did not even move. Every captain, every crew member felt as if they were standing before a god who had shown a glimpse of its hand. Minutes passed, each one longer than the last. The disabled ship floated lifeless, a monument to the Titan's precision. The fleet commander finally spoke, his voice low and bitter. This was no attack. This was a warning. And in the pit of his heart he understood the cruel brilliance of it. If the Titan had destroyed the reckless captain's ship, the aliens would have declared war. They would have fought even in hopelessness because pride demands blood for blood. But by sparing them, by showing mercy wrapped in power, the humans had done something far worse. They had crushed the will to resist. The alien commander lowered his head. His people had been silenced, not by destruction, but by the knowledge that destruction could come at any moment. And yet humanity had chosen not to bring it. That choice alone made them more terrifying than any empire the galaxy had ever known. The Titan spoke once more, final and cold. You came searching for us. Now you know where we stand. Do not forget. Then the comms went dead. The fleet hung in silence, broken, humbled, and afraid. The Titan-Class warship turned slowly, drifting into the stars with the calmness of something eternal. It left no trail of smoke, no mark of violence, only the memory of what it could have done. The galaxy would hear of this day. And when they did, they would not laugh at humanity again. Humanity's warning. The alien fleet floated in uneasy silence. Their weapons were useless, their pride shattered, their voices quiet. Every captain, every crew member stared at the Titan-Class warship with the same thought in mind. If they wished, we would already be gone. The disabled ship drifted helplessly, its lights dead. Its crew was alive, but their silence on the comms was louder than screams. They had been touched by the Titan, and the entire fleet could see the result. It was a reminder, a warning carved into the void. The alien commander sat stiffly in his chair. His hands trembled, though he forced them to still. His eyes never left the warship. He had fought many wars, and he had known victory and defeat. But this was not war. This was something older, something greater. He felt as though he stood before judgment itself. Then the voice returned, calm, cold, human. You see our ship. You know what it can do. This is only one. The words struck harder than weapons. The crew on the bridge stiffened. Even the commander's heart missed a beat. One? If this was only one ship, how many more were there? Were there fleets of Titans hidden beyond the stars? Whole armadas waiting in silence? The alien officers exchanged uneasy glances. They knew the truth. They did not know humanity anymore. The old stories were lies. Humanity had grown in silence, unseen, unchallenged. And now they revealed themselves not as a weak race, but as something the galaxy had no name for. The human voice continued. We do not seek war, but we will not kneel. Those who come to test us will find silence. Those who come to destroy us will not return. Each word fell like a hammer on the alien commander's chest. There was no anger in the voice. No threat shouted with rage. It was calm, steady, absolute. The tone of one who does not need to prove their strength. The kind of voice only spoken by those who already know they cannot be defeated. The fleet grew restless. Some officers whispered that they should retreat, that the encounter was over. Others argued that they must record every detail and send it back to the council. The commander silenced them all with one raised hand. He needed to hear every word. The Titan drifted closer. Its shadow stretched across the fleet, making their cruisers look like toys. The alien commander realized something chilling. The humans had chosen not to destroy them. Not because they could not, but because they wanted witnesses. They wanted this story to spread, and it would. Every empire, every council, every leader in the galaxy would hear of this day. They would hear of the Titan. They would hear of humanity's words, and they would remember. The human voice spoke again, the final blow. Go back to your people. Tell them what you saw. Tell them humanity has awakened. The bridge fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The words seemed to linger in the air, heavy and unshakable. Humanity had not threatened them. Humanity had declared itself. The alien commander lowered his head. His pride burned, but he knew he had no choice. If he returned home and spoke the truth, he would be mocked at first. Perhaps his council would laugh, call it exaggeration. But then, the memory of the disabled ship, the sound of the human voice, the cold silence of the Titan, these things would break even the proudest leaders. Slowly, painfully, he gave the order. Pull back. The alien fleet obeyed, turning away from the Titan. Their engines glowed as they prepared to retreat into the stars. Yet even as they moved, none of them felt relief. Their eyes remained fixed on the Titan. It did not chase them. It did not fire. It only drifted, watching as if to say, we see you now, and we will always see you. The disabled ship was pulled back into formation, dragged by tow beams. Its crew still silent, still shaken, their eyes wide with the memory of what had touched them. They had faced a weapon they could not understand and had been spared. To them, life itself now felt borrowed. The alien commander sat back in his chair, breathing slowly. His chest was heavy, his mind racing. He thought of the younger captains, of the pride of his people, of the arrogance of the galaxy that had dismissed humanity as weak.
All of it was dust now.
The truth was revealed. One of his officers broke the silence with a whisper. What if this is only the beginning? The commander did not answer. He stared at the Titan one last time, letting its image burn into his memory. Then he turned away, his voice hollow. Then the galaxy will tremble. Behind them, the Titan remained, drifting in silence, as steady and patient as the stars themselves. It did not follow. It did not fade. It stayed, as if carved into the void, a reminder that humanity had risen, and the galaxy would never forget it. The galaxy holds its breath. The alien fleet fled into the dark, their engines burning as though distance could erase what they had seen. Yet even as the stars swallowed them, none dared to believe they had escaped. Behind them, the Titan still drifted, vast and silent, watching. The commander sat alone on his bridge, his eyes hollow. He had given the order to retreat, but the shame in his chest weighed heavier than iron. He had once believed his fleet was unbreakable. He had once thought his people were untouchable. But one warship had stripped away those lies with silence and a single pulse of light. The journey back to their empire was long, but silence clung to them the whole way. No laughter, no boasting, no talk of glory. The crew whispered only in fear. They knew what they had seen, and they knew what it meant. Humanity had awakened, and the galaxy would never sleep as it once did. When they returned, the story spread like fire. At first, the councils of the great empires laughed. The report sounded impossible. A single ship the size of a mountain? A vessel that could disable fleets with one strike? The pride of the galaxy refused to believe. But then came the recordings. Footage of the Titan, black and massive, drifting like a god through the void. Recordings of the human voice, calm and cold, declaring their warning. Data scans of the disabled ship. Its systems burned out without a scratch on its hull. The evidence was undeniable. The laughter died quickly. In the halls of power, silence fell. The empires that had ruled for centuries, the species that had fought countless wars, suddenly found themselves facing a truth too heavy to ignore. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not forgotten. Humanity had returned, and they carried silence like a blade. Whispers spread across every star system. Traders spoke of the Titan in hushed voices, their words carrying both fear and wonder. Soldiers told stories of a warship so vast it blotted out the stars. Children whispered the name human like it was a curse or a prayer. Everywhere, leaders asked the same question. If one Titan exists, how many more are waiting? The galaxy's balance began to shift. Plans of conquest were halted. Wars between rival empires slowed. The thought of humanity lingered like a shadow over every decision. Why fight each other when a greater power now watched in silence? In hidden chambers, some leaders plotted. If humanity had built such power, perhaps others could too. Spies were sent, ships dispatched, secrets hunted, yet none returned with answers. Humanity had wrapped itself in mystery, revealing only what it wished to show. The Titan was not a weapon of war. It was a message, and the message was clear. On the blue planet called Earth, the humans spoke little of what had happened. The Titan returned to its docks, hidden once more in the silence of the void. The human commander gave no speeches, no broadcasts. Humanity did not boast because those who are truly powerful do not need to. They knew the galaxy now carried their warning in its heart. Meanwhile, in the farthest systems, fear took root. A council of ancient species met in secret, their voices low. They were supposed to be weak, one whispered. They were supposed to crawl, another answered. They no longer crawl, a third said. They rise. The chamber fell into silence, for even the proudest rulers could not deny what the recordings showed. Silence became the mark of humanity. Where once they were ignored, now every whisper carried their name. Where once they were dismissed, now every empire planned for the day they might face a Titan. But the most terrifying truth was the simplest. Humanity had not attacked. They had not destroyed. They had only spoken. And still the galaxy trembled. One alien elder, older than empires themselves, put it into words that spread like wildfire. Power is not the roar of weapons. Power is silence when the enemy knows you could end them, but choose not to. The Titan had taught the galaxy that lesson, and so the stars grew quiet. Fleets that once roared with pride patrolled with caution. Empires that once shouted of conquest whispered instead of defense. The galaxy held its breath, waiting, wondering, fearing. Would humanity send another Titan? Would fleets of them appear, dark and endless, to take what they wished? Or would humanity remain silent, their presence felt but unseen, a shadow at the edge of every thought? No one knew. The only certainty was this. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The age of ignoring them was over. The age of silence had begun. And somewhere in the cold black of space, the Titan drifted once more. Its vast hull swallowed the starlight, its presence pressing down on all who dared to look. It did not fire. It did not speak, it only waited, and the galaxy, in fear and awe, waited with it.